Hello everyone and welcome to our presentation on SSL and TLS from a discrete mathematics approach. So I myself am Mohammed. I will be accompanied with Roderick Tantuoye and Michael Multi. So let's start with our agenda for today. That is, we'll start with the abstract and then we'll see how our SSL and TLS are actually important in securing the web. And then we'll also look at the purpose of this study. Next, we'll look at the SSL and TLS protocols. We'll dive deep in their functionalities, in their design, how they are designed, and then how their intended purpose is supposed to be. And then we'll look at or what they call the handshake protocol that is a set of messages that actually comprise all the SSL and TLS protocols. So next we'll look at the cryptographic foundation that are underlying these two protocols. So we'll look at modular arithmetics, and then also we'll look at mm, prime factorization, and we'll also look at number theory and some of its application. Next, we'll also look at the ciphers, different ciphers that are the RSA algorithms, and then also the reverse Shami Adamant, so that's the RSA algorithms. We'll look at the elliptic curve cryptography, and we'll also look at the Diffie-Hellman. And then we'll continue with a practical aspect of our presentation. That is, we'll use the SSL lab model to analyze the NVIDIA server and then to show how these SSL and TLS protocol behave in real life. And then we'll continue by presenting our research findings to you guys, and then also the future prospects, right? And then we'll conclude our presentation. So let's start with the SSL and TLS algorithm. So first of all, so in today's digital age, right, we depend more than ever on linked gadgets and then to complete all our everyday calls, and then both remote work and online commerce have significantly increased. And the networks are used to transfer money and other sensible data over the internet. So the internet is growing and doesn't appear to be stopping anytime soon. So from this vantage point, we cannot stress enough how crucial it is to protect this data as they travel across the internet. We have two protocols that are the TLS and the secure circuit layer protocol, that are two crucial protocols that guide the transmission of this data over the internet. So both of these protocols function inside the OSI transport layer. So we'll dive deeply into these two protocols functional aspects in this study, and I will demonstrate how they employ cutting edge cryptographic techniques to secure and then ensure the safety of information transfer and communication over the internet. So the purpose of this study and goals of this study are as follows. So we'll look at an in-depth analysis of the SSL and the TLS protocol to emphasize their design, their underlying principle, and then we'll review the details of the record protocol and the handshake protocol that comprise the TLS. And then we'll also look at a thorough analysis of the TLS and the SSL protocol to comprehend the cryptographic principle underlying their functionalities. So we'll look at the Diffie-Hellman key exchange, the RSI algorithm, and also the elliptic curve cryptography. So we'll also do a theoretical analysis of the mathematical ideas, right, underlying these techniques. So with an emphasis of prime factorization, number theory, and modular arithmetics. So then we'll continue with applying these protocols in real life world scenarios by running server tests to illustrate, understand, and engage with the application of TLS and SSL. And then finally, we'll indicate areas for more study, emphasizing on future prospects in web security and SSL and TLS enhancement. So first of all, what are SSL and TLS? So SSL and TLS are cryptographic protocol that are meant to enable safe communication over unreliable infrastructure. So even though these two protocols are nearly identical, right, the TLS protocol evolved from the SSL protocol, which Netscape first developed in 1994 with SSL 1.0. However, it was only SSL 2.0, the more advanced version that was Netscape included it within their web browser that they developed at that time. So then after that, Microsoft, another early participant in the internet space, so came in after SSL 2.0 to enhance it. And then they dubbed it PCT 1.0. So it was named PCT 1.0. And later those enhancements were added to Netscape SSL 3.0 in 1995. And then the initial version of the TLS known as TLS 1.0 did not exist until 1999 and was developed by the Internet Engineering Task Force IETF. So the same group responsible for the creation of other major protocols like the TCP/IP. And then we have also now the TLS protocol provide communication privacy over the internet. So the protocol enables communication between client and server application in a manner that is intended to thwart message forgery, tampering, and eavesdropping. So to this day, the latest version of the TLS protocol is the TLS 1.3, and then most servers now rely on SSL and TLS to secure the data transfer as they have established themselves as the foundation of internet security. So they are surrounded by equipment that guards the entire network infrastructure, and then, however, nothing is flawless. And then since cryptography is not perfect, these protocols may also be vulnerable to attacks. So let's see what are the handshake protocol of the SSL and TLS. So a set of messages, like we said, and guidelines for when to send and then not to send each message makes up the SSL and the TLS protocol. So the client and the server exchange in an SSL session. So the SSL secure communication session is started by the client itself. So messages are the terms that are used to describe these exchanges between the client and the server. So there can be a variety of messages sent from the certificate to the client exchange to the hello client server, etc. So to group all the messages, the SSL protocol uses a sub-protocol that they call a record protocol. And then the handshake protocol is a crucial sub-protocol that sits atop of the record protocol and forms the basis of the SSL and the TLS. So the first handshake message that we'll look at is the client hello message. So this marks the beginning of the two parties communication. It starts the handshake between the client and the server and set the rules and cipher suits that are to be followed. So the client is the one initiating the hello message, and then the components of that message are as follows. We have version, random number, session ID, and then we have the cipher suit, we have the completion method, and we also have the extensions. So next we'll look at the server hello. The server now transmits the chosen connection parameters back to the client after receiving the hello message from the client, right? So that message format is almost like what the client have just said. So the client server hello, the client hello. And then next is the certificate. So during these steps, the server sends its digital certificate to the client, part of the authentication process. So this certificate includes the server's public key and is typically signed by a trust certificate authority (CA), and the certificate several this certificate like serves several purposes such as authenticity and then the public key exchange. Next, we have the server key exchange. So the server key exchange step may occur depending on the cipher suite that we are using. So if the chosen cipher requires additional information cryptographic parameters, such as in the case of the Diffie-Hellman cryptography, and then so the server sends those parameters to the client. So the message may include some ephemeral keys and then some signatures, right? And then next we have what we call the certificate request. So this is actually an optional step. Why? Because the server requests a certificate from the client, enabling mutual authentication. We don't always need mutual authentication, but in some cases, such as like banking or government communication, we need them. So this step is generally used in an environment where both parties use to verify each other, right? So when the server sends a certificate request message, it specifies which type of client certificate is only acceptable, right? Yeah. So next we will have the server hello done, which is like the end of the server part in the initial negotiation. So this message is essentially an indicator that the server has finished sending all the necessary data, including its certificate, key exchange parameters, and any request for client authentication. And then at this point, the server awaits the client's response to proceed with the handshake. Next, we'll have the client key exchange. So this is actually where the client sends the necessary information for generating the session shared secret. The specific content of this message depends on the key exchange algorithm. So we have various key exchange algorithms, like I said, such as the RSA algorithms and then the Diffie-Hellman algorithm. So we'll look at these two algorithms later on the video. So next in our handshake protocol, we have the certificate verification. So if mutual authentication is required, the client send a client to verify, a client certification verify, right? So message to prove possession of the private key associated with certificate is presented in response to the certificate to the server certificate request. And then the before the last one we have the change cipher spec. In the change cipher spec step, both the client and server indicate that they will now switch the negotiated encryption and marked algorithm. So we have agreed on all of these cipher suite. We have agreed on all of these guidelines of how we communicate with each other. So now it's time to actually start communicating with each other. So we exchange the our cipher specification and then we'll start our communication. So in the finish the part of the handshake protocol. So now the first encrypted message set in the SSL and TLS handshake is sent. So both the client and the server send finished message after the change cipher spec. Message serving two purposes. First one to verify the integrity and the second one to confirm the encryption. So basically these are the handshake protocol. So you can see that it's a set of just a set of messages. You can implement them using various programming languages. And then once you are just able to implement these messages, you are just able to start a secure communication between your client and then your server. Yeah. Thank you very much. So I'll come down to Michael Monty to continue with the mathematical foundation of cryptography. He will talk about the symmetric and asymmetric cryptography.
Okay, so thank you, Mohammed. I'll be talking about the cryptography part, but first, I'd like to talk about what encryption is. Encryption is a key concept in cybersecurity that helps us protect information from unauthorized access. There are two main types of encryption: symmetric and asymmetric. So now I'll talk about symmetric cryptography first. So imagine you and your friend share a secret box and both of you use the same key to unlock it. This basically shows how symmetric cryptography works. You both use the same key to encrypt, lock, and decrypt and lock the messages. Symmetric cryptography is a method of encryption where the same key is used for both encryption and decryption of data. It is fast and efficient, making it suitable for encrypting large amounts of data. However, securely sharing data and managing the secret key between parties is a major challenge because sometimes should someone interfere between you and your friend sharing the same key, or should someone have access to the same key that is used to lock and unlock the messages? It will lead to unauthorized access or someone messing with the data that you are both securing or protecting. So some common symmetric encryption algorithms include AES, which is Advanced Encryption Standard, a widely used symmetric encryption algorithm known for its strength and efficiency. And then DES, which is Data Encryption Standard, an older symmetric encryption standard with a 56-bit key, largely obsolete due to its vulnerability to brute force tactics. And Blowfish, which is a fast, versatile symmetric encryption algorithm with a variable key length of 32 to 448 bits. So some use cases of symmetric cryptography include encryption of large amount of data, such as file encryption, disk encryption, and is often used for encrypting the actual data in systems where speed is needed. So now I'm going to target asymmetric cryptography. So this uses two keys, public and private. So now imagine this. You have two keys. One that you can share with everyone, which is the public key, and one that you keep secret, which is the private key. Everyone can use the public key to lock a message for you, but only you can unlock your private message. So in asymmetric cryptography, the public key is like an open invitation you send to locked messages. You send lock to send you locked messages. And then, so in asymmetric cryptography, the public key is an open invitation to send you locked messages. And then the private key is what you use to unlock those sent messages. You never have to share it with anybody. So now talk about some of the advantages of asymmetric cryptography. It ensures secure communication without the need for or to share a secret key, and then It's commonly used for secure data transmission, digital signatures, and key exchange. So it's also safe. It's way more secure than symmetric cryptography. And then, but some of its flaws is that it's in for asymmetric cryptography is that it's slow. It's very slow. This system is more complex and slower than asymmetric cryptography, so it's not great for locking huge amounts of data. So some algorithms for asymmetric cryptography encryption includes RSA, which is reverse Shamir Adelman, a widely used asymmetric encryption algorithm that relies on the difficulty of factoring large prime numbers. Elliptic curve cryptography (ECC), a modern asymmetric cryptography technique that uses elliptic curve mathematics to achieve high security with smaller key sizes. And then Diffie-Hellman, a foundational method for secure key exchange over an unsecure channel, enabling two parties to establish a shared secret without transmitting directly. So some use cases for asymmetric cryptography include verifying the identity of a sender, securely exchanging symmetric keys over an untrusted network, and then ensuring the authenticity of messages and documents. Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys. So I will continue now with the RSA algorithm. So the RSA algorithm, also referred to as the reverse Shami Adama algorithm, is actually a cryptography algorithm that was designed by the two gentlemen that you can see now on your screen. So it's an asymmetric cryptography based public key exchange algorithm, right? So finding a fast computing technique is the only problem that needs to be solved when implementing the RSA, since we are working here with exponentially large numbers. So several methods of mathematical acceleration are applied to keep computation and key generation from being overly slow. So what we have is the fast encryption with short public exponent, use of the square multiply for modular exponential. So following a sequence of squares and multiply, we can reduce efficiently the number of operations required for performing exponential. So compared to the traditional way of just multiplying through by the desired variable, right, that we wish to raise at a certain exponent. We don't do that because it's very lengthy and we don't have to, like, even if you use modern computers right now, you can't do that because it's very lengthy. So what we want to do is to find a method to reduce the computation of that calculation of these computations, right? So the problem when performing this technique is being able to know the exact sequence that the SQ and the multiply uh, uh, have to take place in order to have the desired output x to the power n. So a simple algorithm that has been designed for this purpose is the follow, right? Represent the exponent in binary form first of all, and then scanning the bit of the exponent from left to right. And then in every iteration, the current result is squared. And then after that, we have then if and only if the currently scanned exponent bit is 1, so the multiplication of the current result is also performed following the squaring. So this algorithm actually proves us something crucial, right? So if the following exponential bit is a 0, so that means the multiplication will not even take place at all. So this allows us to choose a very small exponential public key in which the number of zeros bits are large compared to the ones bit. And then in that case, we can just apply our square and multiply method in order to just do our calculation and our computation, and this is easily be done using modern computers. So this is all actually for the RSA algorithms. So the RSA algorithms is very straightforward, as you guys can see. Aside from that, so its main flaw is that despite being simple, right, it remains in use for several years after the key is generated. So an attacker can easily bypass the master security if they manage to decrypt the pre-master key using the private key. So next, what we will look at is some mathematical foundations, right? So let's talk about modular arithmetics. So modular arithmetics, also known as clock arithmetic, deals with remainders and is a cornerstone in cryptographic computation. So in modular arithmetics, for example, numbers wrap around upon reaching a certain value, so the modulus. For instance, in modulo 5, the numbers are 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And adding 3 plus 4 results in 2, not 7, because we subtract 5 to wrap around the modulus, right? So I'm sure you guys understand that. So next we'll look at number theory. So the number theory is a branch of mathematics that explores properties of integers, provide many tools for cryptography, includes topics such as divisibility, prime numbers, and congruence. Concepts from number theory are fundamental in designing cryptographic algorithms that requires large prime numbers, randomness, and modular arithmetic operation. So the last one we'll look at is the prime factorization. So prime factorization is the process of breaking down a number into a product of prime numbers, and then it is a key concept in cryptography, like we've seen in the RSA algorithm, that is wrapped around prime numbers. So prime numbers are numbers that are greater than one with no divisors other than one and themselves. So they play a vital role because of their unique properties, the difficulty of factoring a large integer into primes, and then also the foundation of the RSA algorithm, like I said. So it's one of the most widely used cryptography techniques, right? All right.
Okay, so here I'll be explaining the Diffie-Hellman key exchange. The Diffie-Hellman key exchange is one of the public key exchange protocols developed by Whitfield Diffie and Martin Hellman. As you can see, it's a combination of both of their names. In 1976, its primary objective is to allow two parties to securely share a secret over an unprotected communication channel without prior knowledge of each other. So, the mathematical concept: the security of Diffie-Hellman relies on the difficulty of solving the discrete logarithm problem. It uses a prime number denoted as p and a primitive root or generator denoted as g. So here's how it goes. This is the first step, both parties agree on p and g publicly. Then the second step is that each party chooses a private key, which is a secret number, and computes their public key as raised to power private key mod p. The third step is that the public keys are exchanged between both parties. And the fourth step is that each party uses the received public key and their own private key to compute a shared secret key, ensuring both obtain the same key due to the mathematical properties of P and G. So as you can see, as I mentioned previously, this is using private and public. You will know that it's used for asymmetric cryptography, since it's also an algorithm used for asymmetric cryptography. So now I'm going to talk about the elliptic curve cryptography. Elliptic curve cryptography is more recent. It's a more recent advancement that provides the same level of security as traditional algorithms like Diffie-Hellman, but it comes with smaller key sizes. So a mathematical foundation for ECC, which is the elliptic curve cryptography, is that it uses the algebraic structure of elliptic curves, which are defined by the equations y squared equals to y raised to the power 3 plus ax plus b. The security of the ECC depends on the elliptic curve discrete logarithm problem, which is the ECDLP, which is considered computationally hard to solve. It's very complex. So off the bat, we already know an advantage of the ECC is that it's very complex, so it has high amount of security. So, and it's very efficient. It needs shorter key lengths to achieve equivalent security compared to the other algorithms, such as the Diffie-Hellman and the RSA, which leads to reduced computational overhead and power consumption. So, in use in secure communication, that's another advantage. The ECC is commonly used in secure communications protocols such as TLS, the Transport Layer Security, and is widely adopted in mobile limited devices due to its efficiency. Now, which compared both the Diffie-Hellman and then the ECC. So the Diffie-Hellman requires relatively larger key sizes. For example, 2000 2048 bits to provide adequate protection, while the ECC achieves similar levels of security with much smaller key sizes. Example, 256 bits. Now, efficiency. The ECC comes with enhanced efficiency, making it suitable for modern applications how low computational requiring low computational power and memory. Okay, so that will be all on the Diffie-Hellman and the ECC. Thank you.
So let's talk about our research findings. So our research have found some key research findings that are: one, outdated protocols and vulnerabilities. So early versions like SSL 3.0 and TLS 1.0 have significant vulnerabilities, such as the Podo attack, which exploits weakness in CBC block ciphers, and the Beast attack, which affects encrypted streams by exploiting predictable initialization vectors. So despite being depreciated, right, some systems are still using these outdated protocols. And in these systems, basically that means they are open to attackers, right? If there's some sensible data out there, so that means an attacker can just easily have access to them. And then we also have performance and security trade-offs. So starting from TLS 1.3, we realize that it improves both performance and security by simplifying the handshake process. So it reduces the number of round trips required for session establishment and depreciating weak algorithms. And then, however, its adoption has been slowed by backward compatibility issues, especially in other enterprise systems, right? And then the next one is the quantum computing threat. So algorithms like RSA and ECC, like we've seen, rely on the difficulty of solving the discrete logarithm and factoring large integers into prime numbers, right? And then at a risk from quantum computing advancement. Shor algorithm, for example, could efficiently break these crypto systems if large-scale quantum computers became viable. This necessitated the development of quantum-resistant cryptography, right? And then the next one, we have the IoT device limitation. So IoT devices often lack computational power, making traditional TLS resource intensive for this environment. Research into lightweight cryptography protocol seeks to balance security and then performance for constrained devices. And then let's see some prospects that we managed to put on for our research. We have, first of all, the zero knowledge proof, so also known as the ZKP. So the ZKP offer potential for verifying identity and data integrity without revealing sensitive information. So this could enhance the privacy and security of TLS based systems, especially in sectors like finance and healthcare. So the next one that we have is the enhanced certificate validation. So stronger validation mechanisms such as certificate signing and multi-factor authentication could be integrated into the TLS handshake to reduce vulnerabilities to phishing and man-in-the-middle attacks. And then the last one that we propose is the forward secrecy environment. So ensuring that ephemeral keys are used in all connections will provide protection even if long-term keys are compromised. Forward secrecy is increasingly a default now requirement in modern TLS implementation. So basically, that's all for our prospects. Let's move on to our conclusion, guys. So cryptography and SSL TLS protocols form the backbone of secure online communication. So they ensure data confidentiality, integrity, and authentication in a rapidly evolving technological landscape. However, the increasing complexity of cyber threats, the proliferation of resource-constrained devices like IoT, and impending capacity capabilities of quantum computing present critical challenges that demand continued research and investment. So the transition now to more secure standards such as the TLS 1.3 demonstrate that the progress in balancing performance and security is crucial. However, the persistence, right, of vulnerabilities in legacy systems underscores the importance of universal adoption of updated protocols. So furthermore, emerging technologies now, like we see them every time, including quantum computing, threaten to undermine classical cryptography methods, necessitating the development of integration of quantum resistant algorithms. So research findings reveal significant opportunities for innovation in cryptography principles, such as exploring post-quantum cryptography, lightweight protocols for IoT, and privacy-focused solutions like the zero knowledge proof that we have just established. And these advancements not only address current vulnerabilities but also prepare the digital infrastructure for future technological shifts. So, in conclusion, we can say that advancing cryptography techniques like SSL and TLS protocol is not merely a necessity but a continuous journey. Right? The focus must remain on developing adaptable, efficient, and robust systems to secure the expanding digital ecosystem against both present and future threats. So this research lays the groundwork for a more resilient, secure, and inclusive technological future, enabling trust and privacy in an increasingly interconnected world. Thank you very much for following us, and then have a blessed day.